Hola, ¿qué tal amigos? Profesor Pablo, Grammar Lesson 239, 239, hasta versus hasta que. Number one, hasta que is always followed by a conjugated verb, indicative or subjunctive. Use present subjunctive, verb number 8, if the action hasn't happened yet. Otherwise, use the indicative, verb numbers 3, 4, or 5. It is a $sign provocador. All right, let's try to let that sink in a little bit. So after hasta que, it could be a matchup. A matchup is where the verbs on both sides of hasta que are the same. You could have hasta que preceded by present tense and followed by present. That would make it a $3 3 as a license plate. Okay? Hasta que could be preceded by preterite and followed by preterite. It could be a $4 4 as your license plate. It could be preceded with a 5 imperfect and followed by an imperfect. It could be a $5 5. What do we mean by $? Well, that's a code that we've devised to indicate that hasta que can be followed by S subjunctive or I indicative. Notice in the $, you have an S. That means it could be followed by subjunctive if you're talking about something that hasn't happened yet or hadn't happened yet. Or you see the I in the middle of the $. It could be followed by indicative if you're talking about something that happened, or used to happen. So let's see how this works. Point 2. Hasta is never followed by a conjugated verb. Never ever followed by a conjugated verb. Point 3. Hasta may be followed by an infinitive, a noun, etc. Examples. These are examples of all of them now. So let's take a look at the first one. I eat until I'm not hungry. Como hasta que no tengo hambre. Well, both of those are present tense, so the license plate, the LP, would be $3 3. It's a matchup. The verb on both sides of the $, both sides of hasta que, match up. 3 and 3. It's a statement of fact. I eat until I'm not hungry. If I were to say, I study until I understand the material. Estudio hasta que comprendo completamente mis lecciones. I study until I completely understand my lessons. That's again a $sign matchup in the present tense. It's a $3 3. Let's take a look at the next one. Voy a quedarme hasta que termine. I'm going to stay until I finish. Well, when you say voy a quedarme, even though that is a present tense with an infinitive, it implies future. I am going to stay until I finish. Now, I haven't finished yet. I'm going to stay until I finish. Voy a quedarme hasta que termine. Why is it $, verb number 8, present subjunctive? Because the action of finishing has not happened yet. Okay? Remember, present subjunctive is opposite vowel. Voy a quedarme hasta que termine. I'm going to stay until I finish. Now, the license plate would be 30 $8, $30 8. Now, that 30 is much like the future, which is a verb number 6. All right, hasta mañana, until tomorrow. Remember, after hasta, you don't use a conjugated verb. Hasta terminar, until finishing. Okay, hasta las 3, until 3 o'clock. So with hasta, you're free. You can basically say anything you want except an infinitive. Let's talk about hasta que again. All right, hasta que is what we call a $sign provocador. It's a $, meaning you can follow it with subjunctive or you can follow it with indicative. When do you follow it with indicative? When the beginning of the sentence and the end of the sentence is talking about something that happens. That would be a $3 3. If you're talking about something that happened, like, for example, I studied until I went to bed. Both of those are factual, past, preterite statements. I studied, estudié, hasta que me acosté. I studied until I went to bed. Okay, that is a $4 4. That's a matchup. You've got preterite at the beginning and preterite at the end. Let's take a imperfect matchup. I would always study until I would go to bed. Siempre estudiaba hasta que me acostaba. You have imperfect in front, imperfect at the other side of hasta que. That's what we call a dollar sign matchup. Remember, the dollar sign is the S or the I, telling you that you can use subjunctive or indicative after it. When do we use subjunctive after hasta que? When the action hasn't happened yet. Another example, I'm going to work until I have enough money to buy a car. Well, I don't have the money yet. It hasn't happened yet. So you would say, voy a trabajar hasta que tenga bastante dinero para comprar un carro. Voy a trabajar, there's your ir plus infinitive implying future. Hasta que tenga, there's your opposite vowel, present subjunctive, bastante dinero para comprar un carro. So that would be a dollar sign subjunctive, right? And the license plate would be 30 dollar sign 8. Okay? All right. That's all we're going to do with hasta and hasta que for the moment, but we're going to practice it again and you'll become proficient. Again, like I always say, take one example and then imitate it and create from it. So let's say the example is I'm going to stay until I finish. Voy a quedarme hasta que termine. Okay, now you know that you can say voy a anything followed by hasta que with opposite vowel. Like I'm going to eat until I'm not hungry. Voy a comer hasta que no tenga hambre. You're going to a smorgasbord in Vegas and you're going to hit that smorgasbord line and you're going to eat until you're not hungry. Voy a comer hasta que no tenga hambre. Another one, I'm going to study until I learn this. Voy a estudiar hasta que lo aprenda, opposite vowel. So imitate the example, voy a quedarme hasta que termine, and now you know, your brain is telling you, you can say that you're going to do anything until something else happens. And there's your pattern. There is your license plate of 30 dollar sign 8. And when you use subjunctive, you're using the highest level of communication, the highest level of verb sophistication in Spanish. So it behooves you to start practicing and learning the subjunctive and sprinkle it in. All right, that'll do it for lesson 239. This is Profesor Pablo signing off. Cambio fuera.